response. Nitin.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when mosquitoes and bedbugs crawled in Kormangla, a group of people remained awake to fulfill their destiny. Asking about platelet Tagindi for the 4 a.m. bus from Madanpalli, reporting bilateral DVT scans, dealing with emergency surgeries and conducting deliveries, funders for papilledema, authorizing platelet counts, preparing knowledge attitude practice questionnaires, and amidst all of this, getting the right Swiggy order to be delivered near the Federal Bank ATM. That's the life of a postgraduate in St. John's. A very good evening, respected dignitaries on dais, my beloved teachers and my fellow Johnites. Today it is an honor to be here to present the PG response, and yet a huge responsibility as we are a bunch of heterogeneous cohort who are statistically significantly different from each other. I shall try my best to recapitulate the 3 years with the help of 7 magical letters. We start with J, journey. It was a journey that started with elation to see that we had entered one of the best institutes in the country. When we started this journey, we felt like tiny little pawns in this gigantic maze of building. The subjects, some of it was what we already loved, and sometimes we learned to love, but there was no turning back. It was a journey, as one of the professors would say, from unconscious incompetence to conscious competence, and someday we hope to move towards unconscious competence. There were a lot of ordeals, obstacles and opportunities in the last 3 years. The first obstacle was, of course, crossing Sajapur Road to be in time for morning rounds. But once we got past that, we had an incredible number of caseload in OPDs, lot of admissions, handling a milieu of emergencies that gave us a chance to hone our clinical skills. Not to forget the incredible teaching and research opportunities in the pre and paraclinical subjects, and a chance to make an impression in the minds of young undergraduates, which made it worthwhile to burn that midnight oil to prepare for that demonstration or for a practical in physiology or pharmacology, where the undergraduate would come to the stair and ask a pre or paraclinical PG, "Can you take that class once more for us? We really liked it." There were days when we didn't get enough sleep, time to bathe, days when we missed home and home-cooked food, of unable to fulfill commitments or even go to PVR to watch a movie, because the moment we made a plan, either the patient would go into AF or land up with stroke in window period. But when we put that extra effort in and we could see that the patient went home with a smile, we knew it was all worth it. Of course, if the patient load became more, we were also meticulously trained in the art of going through long OPD folders to see which unit had seen the patient first. We acquired the rare skill of sleeping with our eyes open in the post-lunch teaching session called guillotine, and it served its purpose on days, because on those days we were made to feel that our knowledge was not even as much as undergraduates. But above all and beyond all, we owe a huge debt to our patients, because without them we would be nothing. And I thank all the patients and their attenders in the ward and the hospital right now for bearing with us. Yet, it was a humbling experience. A humbling experience. We didn't realize that our moments of intellectual gratification, of picking a murmur, diagnosing Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease on MRI, or identifying malignant cells on biopsy, or finding that perfect PCB state, we only later realized that we had to develop empathy, because these diagnoses were dramatically altering the lives of patients. We were humbled and at times clueless when we were counseling patients. A typical counseling for a sick patient would go like this. Creatinine is going up, you would probably need dialysis. Fluid is filling in the lungs, you would probably need ventilator. Platelets are low, there is a chance of bleeding, a lot of infection, we need to hike up antibiotics. And yet the question would come, "Beru enu problem ilva sir?" And at times it would be frustrating, but it was only later that we realized that sometimes they did not understand, but more often than not, they were seeking a reassurance that we were trying our best and that we would try to save the patient's life. These 3 years have given us a lifetime of nostalgia. Nostalgia. There were small moments of happiness. Getting the blood bank phone on the first attempt. Scan rooms actually calling back after they say we will call you back. When the lift actually stops in the floor that you are waiting for. And when interns turn up on morning rounds with the reports in hand and do not tell, we just checked it 5 minutes back, sample still received. Those were the small moments of happiness. Nostalgia of the time we spent in the sports field dominating the sports. Nostalgia of the time when we were probably the first postgraduate batch to take part in interclass culturals and also walk away with best male model and female model with a very creatively and artistically themed fashion show called Yin and Yang. Because we only had black and white clothes to wear. Of course, we received a lot of help from dermat PGs to look cosmetically perfect. But the biggest relief of nostalgia comes when your guide does not add that extra comma, full stop, or an extra space, and you can give that blessed thesis for publication. That was the biggest moment of happiness in 3 years of our life. The key thing in St. John's, however, continues to be our beloved teaching faculty who have inspired us. I for inspiration. Teachers who are exceptional guide and mentors and pioneers in their field. Perhaps what is more inspiring is the fact that despite the temptation of corporate hospitals, our teaching faculty carries on the mission of St. John's and display tremendous work ethics, traveling from long areas from Bangalore to come at 7:30 a.m., being accessible even at 11:30 p.m. to discuss mundane blood reports. Unlike the rigid hierarchical structure which exists in other medical college, where a postgraduate cannot even stand in the presence of a professor, we thank you for making us feel part of the team. We thank you for giving us a chance to talk to you on rounds. We thank you for encouraging and motivating us and encouraging debates and discussion. And more importantly, thank you for allowing us to have that sip of coffee with you. I think they deserve a big round of applause for being such fantastic teachers. On a more personal note, having been in this institute for 11 years, I've had the opportunity of familiarity to exploit, and it is one of my most memorable moments that I had the opportunity to direct and act with a few of you, some theatre stalwarts like Dr. Arvind Kasturi, on various hospital occasions, and see you reprise the roles of Mohanlal, Rajnikant and Shah Rukh Khan with great applause, that you got whistles that even Shah Rukh Khan did not get in the theatre. That will remain a personal cherished moment. I thank, on behalf of everyone, our parents, guide, spouses, for those of us who are married obviously, and everyone for supporting us during these 3 years. These 3 years of post-graduation would not have been possible without these people. T for teamwork. The backbone of the hospital, the nursing staff, who used to alert you the moment even the faintest parameter would go off. The 8 boys and 8 girls who prevented further weight loss in us by shifting patients, transporting ABGs and taking the reference slip at 12:25 p.m. To the staff and technicians of blood bank, radiology, echo and OT, thank you for putting up with our incessant calls and making each case easier. And most importantly, to the super specialty PGs. You were the envy and cynosure of all eyes with your grace. Some of you were even resembled superstars. The sisters used to call you by film star names. Thank you for being role models. You have taught us what truly work-life balance means. You enriched us and were available at any time to bug you with our silly doubts. I only had to say this so that Dr. Dillon would still come and see my neurology reference today. It is with pride that I tell today that we are not graduating as medicine, surgery and OBG or pharmac PGs. We are graduating as the batch of 2014 postgraduates. The camaraderie that we shared in our WhatsApp group, we fought and made fun of each other. We ridiculed each other. We fought that references were not being seen and we even grumbled. But above all, our WhatsApp group was like a mess tea conversation for us. It helped us get through a time of stress through these 3 years. And in fact, even till yesterday, there was a lot of banter going on between psychiatry and surgery. We can be proud that the efforts that we initiated have led to the concept of PG Association and the concept of PG Day. So in the end, we come for E and we were enriched. And we today stand out as Johnites. We started on for J for journey, filled with O for opportunities and audience, H for humbling experience, N for nostalgia, inspired by teachers, had T for teamwork all along the way, and we ended with E, and today we step out this campus as Johnite doctors. Johnites who I believe we can be examples of compassion, care and ethics, whom as our beloved chief guest today rightly said, we need to use our judgment to ensure that patient care is not compromised, because for us it's monotony, it might be 100 patients, but for them it is that one patient which matters to the family. And more importantly, I believe that we can be role models and shining lights so that the media can finally start saying, if you want to look at good doctors, look at St. John's doctors. This is not impossible, because remember one thing, we are Johnites. Impossible is nothing. Thank you.